And we're recording.
Oh,
hi. We're talking. I love to do this. Welcome to the show, Miss Deidra. We are so happy to have you in the hot seat today.
Well, thank you for having me in the hot seat.
Yes. We just want to dive deep into you and all about you. Oh my gosh, this is just perfect. You want to give everybody a little soft intro?
Yes. I liked it, actually. It was nice.
Yes. Okay. We are back. Okay. So, tell us, who are you? What are you all about? I'm like, no, I'm just trying to do shit differently because I'm always like, la 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 la, and I'm like, let's.
I mean, where do we start? So, where do we start here?
Okay, let's talk about what you do right now. No, let's talk about what you do right now because I want to go back because there's just a little bit of history here.
Right.
Because it's really easy for us to kind of fucking veer off, and I really want everybody to understand who the fuck you are. So, what you do right now, what's happening right fucking now.
Yeah.
In the present moment.
Like, what's present for me now or what am I doing right now?
You guys, stop. Can you just look? Like, you two are sandwiches, and I'm just the sardine as a pickle on the side.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Look at this. Look how far away I am.
Well, it's because your legs are crossed over and your toes are pointing that way.
Dude.
So you need to get closer.
Okay, can we just
Should I move away?
No. But it's good. It's good. I'm just noticing. I'm like, wow, there's just quite this big space. It's a big gap.
I think it's because you're really looking at me in the eyes, and we're just kind of like, ha ha ha. We're like troublemakers, and you're like, okay, guys.
I'm like the serious one.
She's the serious one,
but it's so not true. But it is cool. We've got red, we've got dark, and then we have the blonde. So we have Charlie's Angels.
We do.
I went right to Archie comics, like.
Oh, that's what you were thinking?
Old school.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sailor Moon vibes?
Betty, Veronica, Midge.
Oh, yes.
Archie? Just kidding.
Archie.
So kidding.
Present moment.
You know how you wanted her to go into that thing?
Which part?
About right now?
Yeah.
What about where it all started?
I know, but that's why I wanted to get the now so to see how far back and how far she's come.
And this is the best type of show.
Yeah.
We're raw babes 101 and we do everything just wild.
I feel like I have a puppy here and a puppy here, and I'm like, oh my gosh, which puppy? Which one do I pay attention to?
Do I need to give attention to?
No, I know.
Both.
Okay, so where I am today, I'm currently in your studio space. So thank you for having me in this present moment in time. And like what I do is, I mean, this has been my work for a while, turning your light on, which is like waking people up to their true identity and who they're meant to be. So a big part of this process has been the process that I've been on for the last decade of like healing and figuring shit out, making a lot of mistakes, healing trauma, divorce, stepping into my power, my purpose, and then also letting go of a life that never felt like my own. So this book, Turn Your Light On, is like the summary of the work that I've been doing for the past 10 years and the healing work and how it can actually happen really quickly, because there's a belief system, especially around trauma, that it needs to take decades to heal. And before trauma became really popular, you could say like 3 years or 2 years ago as a topic, I did a TEDx on it that was called Unhealed Trauma, the Root Cause of All Suffering.
You did a TEDx?
Yeah.
Girl. You're a Jill of all trades.
Okay.
It's like next level, you guys. Not only is she an author, she's a speaker, you're a coach, you do all the things. Shaman. Come on. What else?
What do you not do?
I don't do a lot of things. I'm not a good gardener. Unfortunately, I would like to be a better gardener. I'd like to,
there's courses for that.
Be a better athlete.
I got you.
Maybe a better singer. I'm working on that.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, like everything that I've done in my life, any challenge that I've ever had is I've turned it into something for other people. And that's what happened with this book. That's what happened with the Turn Your Light On event and the program. It's all about waking up to our true identity. And for so long in my life, like I didn't know who I was. So guess what I was doing? I was checking things off a list, got married young, did all the things I thought I should be doing. But I'd look around at my life and be like, is this really it? Is this really what like happiness is supposed to feel like?
Right.
Is this what success is supposed to feel like? And I know you guys have heard this story before, but one day I was putting my fingers through my hair and I was like, something feels really off here. So I grabbed my phone, I ran to the bathroom, put on camera mode, started angling at the back of my head with the mirror, trying to figure out what is going on here. And that's when I was like, oh shit, I have a bald spot. And it was this big on the top of my head.
Yeah.
And
like an alopecia.
It was, alopecia. Yeah. And I didn't know what it was. I was like, how this happened? Like, how do I fix it? So I go back to my kitchen and I sit down for a moment and I'm like, clearly the universe is trying to tell me something because it's going after my hair. And flashback, this is 7 years ago. I really cared about my appearance then. Like I always looked good. I always had a smile on my face. I was every room I'd walk into, I was like, I'm great, you're great, we're all great.
Yeah, I'm the light. I'm just gonna be positive Pete.
I didn't even know how to feel other feelings.
Positive Pete.
Yeah.
Positive Pete.
It's very similar to me.
Yeah. And I remember meeting you at a time when you were in that, so I want to unpack that with you too. Right?
Going back like a decade.
Taking it back, a decade, right?
Yes.
And so like going through all of that and then realizing that I created a life that wasn't my own. I got married to a man that my intuition told me I shouldn't marry, but everything else that I should. And I lost a chunk of hair, had 4 autoimmune diseases, chronic pain, depression, anxiety attacks all the time. But from the outside looking in, I was doing well in my career and my business. I was married to a man who was great. Everyone thought he was so amazing.
Oh my God, the mask. Just
right?
The mask.
And I was the happiest person everyone knew. And I lost a chunk of hair and I was like, what am I doing with my life? How did I get here? And then I remember just being like, oh, my intuition told me as I was walking down the aisle, this isn't going to work. And I didn't listen. And now I'm losing a chunk of hair, 4 autoimmune diseases, massage therapist fired me because they can't help me, anxiety attacks, can't stand being around my husband. He's always telling me who to be, how to be, what I can say, what I can't say, what I can wear, what I can't wear, putting me down, calling me stupid every day almost in different ways. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I didn't listen.
Every sign was there.
Every sign, but I didn't know how to listen. Like I wasn't taught intuition. Like who's taught intuition? Not many people at a young age. I mean, today I think people are doing
For
that.
sure.
More so
But
now.
Yeah, but I wasn't taught
But your
that.
body's literally telling
Screaming.
you what the fuck is up.
Yeah.
And that's for us to like identify what it is, the why. And it sounds like in your case there was a lot of whys.
Yeah, and so in that moment, like realizing all this that day at my kitchen table, I was like, I know that if I don't change my life, I'm not going to be around for another year because I kept getting more and more symptoms. And my soul told me if I didn't listen to my soul, I was going to get cancer and die in a year.
Wow.
That's crazy. It's the same fucking message that I had. It's insane.
Really?
Same message. It was like, if I continue on this path, I won't be here by the time I'm 40.
Wow. It's like I feel like a lot of people have a lot of these symptoms on a physical level and they're like, oh, I'm just going to go get medication, or, oh, it runs in my family, or what's the quick fix, or, oh, this is just my life now. And like, I was like mid-20s, super fit. I owned a fitness company.
Yeah.
I was like so healthy, everything I did. But the fact that I had all those symptoms was my soul saying no.
Yeah.
And I knew that I had to shift, and that's what brought me down the path deeper of studying with shamans, which I had already been doing. And I started to let go of things that weren't me, leave a marriage that never really felt like it was it, and then start a new business and go on this path. So one of the pieces that I teach is the language of the soul, which is the physical body. And like you had that message too, and like you made a decision, right?
I sure did. Can't ignore it.
Can't
and
ignore
it's like
it.
the universe will get louder and louder. And it's interesting to me that it's like your team and your higher self, it went after your hair.
Yeah.
And that's an image, because what did we care about back then was how we looked.
Yeah.
So it's something that you can't ignore. And it's like, that's what will happen is the carpet rips just get bigger and bigger. Till eventually you're like, I can't overlook this anymore.
Well, for me, it's like I can't hide this anymore, because I could hide everything else. I could hide like the eczema or the psoriasis outbreak or the other autoimmune disease or the pain or the anxiety or whatever, but like my hair is on the top of my head. And within just 3 months of doing this work, ladies, I healed myself of 3 of the 4 autoimmune diseases.
Yeah, you did.
The 4. My pain went away suddenly, which I had for over 6 months.
Wow.
And my anxiety went away. My food sensitivities went away. My hair grew back, even though the doctor said I probably might lose all my hair.
Brutal.
And it's like 7 years later, and I believe that we can transform dis-ease into health through honoring and listening to the language of the soul. So that's like one of the things in that book and that I teach. Yeah.
That's it.
Fucking
Show's
nice
done.
job.
We're over.
Yeah, that's it. That's the answer. That is the answer.
Yeah.
You guys are so funny. It's done. It's over.
No.
But isn't it so easy to come up with a solution that is like, that makes sense to the mind? Oh, let's get some medication. Oh, it's genetics. Oh,
Every
like
excuse.
it's all the things.
It's
all the
everything
excuse. It's just so we like it distracts us from the actual truth and not understanding what the link, how we're so linked, how powerful our mind is. It makes us sick, gives us disease.
Yeah.
But until we like start peeling the onion and like actually fulfilling your heart with the things that actually fucking matter and getting rid of the things that you no longer align with, how we can turn our health around that way. And I love your book, by the way.
Oh,
and I resonate so much with what you put in there because I went through it too. And it goes back, Kristen and I going back all the way when you were at fucking Landmark with us. Because that's when my journey started. Like I would fucking totally oblivious of, I was just one of those like mindless walkers where I don't feel right. I don't feel right. I don't feel like I'm at home. Why is the life so fucking hard? Like I just couldn't understand why I was losing people in my life. Like, you know, whether it was just like ending of a friendship or like other relationships, and I just couldn't understand because I knew my heart was there, but I didn't understand the frequency that I was literally operating at. And it was like low, very, very low.
Totally.
So
totally.
But Landmark was the catalyst of it all.
So I have a question, if I can ask. What can I? After you left, you know, you had this big awakening and you realized you needed to leave the marriage and everything like that. Was this before or after Landmark?
Oh, this was after Landmark, but not because of Landmark.
Okay. So before, were you doing anything else before you went to Landmark?
I was working with a shaman, so I was doing a lot of soul and energy and spiritual work.
Okay.
And that was probably it, and then a few other things.
And then it was like you thought, what made you answer the call? How did Landmark come into play?
Well, Landmark, I was sponsored by Lululemon.
I had a yoga business. An employee.
No, I was a Lululemon sponsor. I was sponsored by them with my business. I was a yoga teacher.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
So wait a minute, because like the owner of Lululemon, just for like we haven't explained what Landmark is, but the owner of Lululemon did Landmark, and that's where the company was basically born from, was through the second part of Landmark. So
beautiful.
What was the second part called? It's been so long since we've taken. I've taken all 3 courses.
The leadership.
Was it the leadership one?
There's the forum, there's the leadership, and then there's something else.
Yeah.
I just did the one.
Yeah, I did the 3, but it was.
It actually didn't. There were a lot of good things about the program, but a lot of it didn't resonate with me. Like actually, it's interestingly enough, and I don't want to knock Landmark because I know it's transformational on so many levels.
Yeah.
But I went to Landmark because I was sponsored by Lululemon because I was an ambassador for my yoga business. So they sent all the ambassadors there, which was really cool. And
for free?
For free.
Wow.
Yeah.
And he does that too with his program.
That's what he did, because he no
gives it
longer
to
has
people.
the company anymore. But that's what he did. That was a mandatory thing for all of his employees.
Yeah, they take really good care of people.
Yeah.
Like big time.
Okay, so then keep going.
So I went to the forum, and I remember like there's so many great things about the forum. Like, you know, doing the thing, doing the phone calls and all of that. But I actually had like kind of a fuck you moment at Landmark and also at the leadership development where I think I actually was like, I actually don't love this.
Yeah.
Because I remember the calls that we had to make. We had to like go and make calls on things that we're incomplete with. So I actually called a guy that raped me when I was 19 on my break. And I admitted that it happened and it wasn't okay. And I just want to tell him that I forgive him, but I need to acknowledge that it happened. And I remember like pacing back and forth in like this hotel bathroom. And I was like, I need to call this guy and just like clear this, right? Because it's a pretty traumatic thing that happened.
Sure.
And I remember just feeling really good. Like, the guy didn't handle it well. He ended up hanging up because I was like, I know this has to do with your father.
Oh my
like,
God.
I started to go
You're like unpacking his life, and you're just like dropping this fucking.
And that's what happens in Landmark. We turn into these like coaches all of a sudden because we're like,
now we know we see the truth. We're like, now we know why you're such a fucking cool person.
So it was, the cool thing about it was I acknowledged that it happened, and I had so much shame and pushed that down for so long. And actually, my TEDx is I talk about that situation and trauma. So that what happened with that man was a gift in the end because it's helped me with trauma and understanding and teaching and helping. But the thing is, I remember having that call. And then we had this opportunity to go up to the mic, and they're like, kind of like, who's going up to the mic next? Who's going up to the mic next? And they're like making eye contact, and you're sitting in your chair, like, ugh. And for me, I was like, I just need to go up and share that I like called this person. And that was like huge outside of my comfort zone, like huge risk for me on all levels. So I go up and I share it, and the guy, and I'm like, yeah, and he hung up on me, but that's okay because I got to say what I got to say. And that's all that matters. And I remember the facilitator, and this is coming from my perspective now, not just my perspective then, because I've evolved a lot in the last 8 years. Mm-hmm. But when I look back on it now, he was like, oh, well, you should have kept talking to him, and you should have done this and this differently. And I remember like looking at him, I'm like, I just called the guy that raped me like 5 years ago. And like, you're telling me I could have done better. And I didn't say that to him, but I just remember walking back to my seat and being like, I don't like how that felt. Yeah. But I called the guy, and I got clarity on a couple things in my marriage. Because what happened was I noticed that in this personal development space, and I'll tell you guys, I got into personal development because I thought something was wrong with me.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Right?
Yes.
So I thought, you know, sure, like something's wrong with me, fix me, tell me how to be. But what I found in Landmark and like the accountability and all that stuff was like people were trying to fix me when something was not wrong with me. You. It was wrong with the situation and the people that I kept. And I remember talking to this woman about my marriage, and she's like, you need to try harder. You need to try harder. And it's like, it was like a really, like I was getting so sick. And so it's like everything was pushing me to be different. And you know, it's me. And a big part of my evolution, especially in the last like year or so, it's like, it's not always me. Yeah. You know, and it's like not taking accountability for other people's stuff. But I called the guy, and then, so that was great. That was healing, empowering. I got clarity on people's projections versus reality, which is a huge lesson. And then the leadership program, there's a lot of great things about it, but I also saw so much manipulation, and I didn't like that. So it has its place. I grew a lot from it, but it's not what caused me to change. It actually caused me to be like, oh no, this actually isn't me. It's an environmental thing. You know?
You use your discernment.
Discernment and intuition.
Yeah.
And I agree. I don't amount Landmark to be anything massive in the sense of part of my evolution. It's like we're the ones that have to lean in and do the work. And it happens outside of a weekend. Yeah. And it's how do you do your everyday life?
Exactly.
It's not just I get to go to this place and I'm magically healed. You have to keep up with it. It takes forever.
It doesn't always align with everybody.
And it ripped out the carpet. Yeah. I just remember being pulled into the back because I wanted to share some things that were holding me back, but the partner at the time said if I go up and share, then they will leave. And that to me was the biggest red flag and it's a huge indication of you should just speak your truth and let the relationship fall away, but that was too scary for me. So I went into the back room and had that conversation, and the guy's like, well, why did you choose a playboy as a boyfriend who wants everybody else? And I was like, I didn't. And it was the biggest eye-opener because I did choose that type of person.
Yeah, that's so wild.
It was really like a big slap in the face because I'm like, what do you mean? Like, you can't put this on me. And now, of course, through all of my evolution, I fucking did.
And we get to choose who we surround ourselves with.
100%.
And sometimes the people are not the right people for what we need in the moment, or they're the right people that we need to make a different choice.
That's right. They are the right people in that moment in time. And they all serve their purpose.
100%. And that partner has played the biggest role in my awakening because when you are with people that push you to have to overcome them and overcome yourself and face all of the shadow shit, that's how we evolve.
Yeah.
And then on a soul level, these people come into our lives because we chose them. We chose them to be the villain or to be that bad guy or the one to break our heart. It's to crack us open.
Oh my gosh. Seriously, like we choose everything. It's actually really fun. We can have fun with it.
Yeah.
Oh, that was fun. Thank you. I know I manifested my husband for all the reasons. He's not a bad guy at all. It just didn't work.
Yeah.
And like certain things happened because I agreed to them before I came here.
Exactly.
And I'm like, oh, that sounds
that was
fun.
a good contract.
Well,
I'll get over that.
We take radical responsibility because we are the ones that are putting ourselves in that situation. But we don't need to take responsibility for all the shitty things that the other person has done.
Yes.
There's a bit of a separation there that we were like, you know, the mindset of thinking something's wrong with you, so you shouldn't have been there. It happened because of you. It's like, okay, there is a sense of truth in that, but my God, that was wrong, and that person should be prosecuted. Also, like they're not. What repercussions have they received for that because of your trauma?
Yeah.
We can get a little bit deep on that.
But this is that beautiful karmic exchange and karma that everybody has to deal with. And it's not about karma, oh, you did bad, you get bad done to you. It's just a law of attraction, energy exchange. It's just part of
it's so interesting because there's the things that happen that change us, that help us become who we're meant to be. And I strongly believe that our deepest traumas and our greatest wounds are actually our access point to our greatest gifts for humanity if we heal them. But also sometimes shitty things happen. And like I was when I look back, you know, I'm writing another book right now on love and relationship, and let me tell you, ladies, like fuck, like, oh my gosh, like, I remember being in Costa Rica, finishing the book in the fall, and just being like last fall, and just crying and being like, what was I doing? How did I get there? Like, it's super fun. Like, there's all of these, like, highs and lows and in-betweens, and it's great storytelling, and I was in it. I was the main character. But now...
main character season.
Yeah, exactly. But now, like, in love and relationships, like, I've had so many opportunities to choose past version of me and like what I used to find attractive, and I'm like, no. And like when I was in Calgary with you guys, someone reached out from the past, and he's like, I'm all in, you're the one, like said all the things I wanted to hear, and I was just like, no, like I'm not into Delusionville. Delusionville. Because like
Superior man, baby.
Yeah, superior man only, but like we get to choose what we want, and also knowing what we're used to choosing versus what we want. So I'm holding out for the real thing.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah. And
that's
this is okay. So I do talk to a lot of my single friends that like there's a lot of, I mean, the air has been really heavy, so there's been a lot of breakups and things happening.
Retrograde.
Yeah.
All on the let's just blame the planet.
No,
I don't blame
it's so
it.
convenient.
I don't blame
it is so convenient. But yeah, so the biggest message I give people that are in those situations and that are like going, why is this happening, and not wanting to end the relationship but the partner does. And I say this for everybody. It's like, it's time to dive deep in your own practice, your own self-love, self-care practice. Because I think I know, and it's just an innate knowing that during that time of self-care, self-love, obviously, as you know, our vibration changes, and now we're in the vibration of somebody else that's actually on that healing path, or whatever path that you end up being. But now it's remothering ourselves into a new state of being, which is kind of scary for a lot of people because they're so used to operating at a certain level, and it's like they're normal. It's like, oh, I always track the asshole, or I always track the fucking nymphomaniacs, or fucking pull their underwear up too high, or whatever.
That's so random. I always attract the men who pull their underwear up too high. I haven't heard that one before.
I haven't heard
Steve
it either.
Urkel style. Like, hey guys.
Oh my God.
Over the boobies. But
So
yeah, so I think like when I do have these conversations with people, it's like, okay, fuck all the noise get back to like what fills your heart, what fills your soul. And it sounds like that's where you're at right now, where you're diving deep into your passion and you're really exuding the work that you've done for yourself by teaching other people. And that's another thing of like showing how your cup is full in the sense of it's working for you. So it's time to teach other people around you to help line them up.
I love that. And it's so interesting because like the patterns and the things that I attracted in the past were because there were parts of me that believed that was true. Like I didn't feel worthy of being with a certain type of man, or, you know, if I go back to a childhood experience, the popular boy in grade 4 had a crush on me and asked me to be his girlfriend, and suddenly all the girls in school didn't like me, all the girls in my grade. And there was like, I always felt like whenever the guy that a lot of women desired came and chose me, I felt like I had a threat on my back, or like I couldn't, you know, it wasn't safe. So in my adulthood, after I was married, I realized that I'm like, oh, like these men are coming forward, and I'm just like, I don't feel safe because I feel like they're not safe. And I've healed that, thank God. But I totally was like, oh, if a man's like super desired by a lot of other women, it's not safe. And I would like kind of step away. And I had all these great men showing up for me after, you know, over the last like 6 years or 5 years of being single, but I wasn't ready because I had some internal healing to do.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, like I wasn't ready yet because I didn't feel I was worthy. And I had to heal stuff around myself and the feminine and my worth and what I want. And now it's like I'm really clear on what I want and who I am. And I know that the right person is going to match me and it's just going to happen. But all of those other pieces were lessons.
Yeah. Something just came to me and I really just want to talk about this for a second. Do you find, like, especially in our culture, there's a huge difference between a woman being single for a period of time and a man being single for a period of time?
Yes. Yeah.
Can we talk about this for a second?
Sure.
It's kind of like, I don't normally hear people talk about this very often. I really don't. But I feel like it seems to be more acceptable for a man to be single for a period of time than a woman to be single for a period of time. Why?
It's so funny. That might be like the norm, but I actually feel the opposite
Do
is
you?
true.
Okay.
Because I feel like men jump from relationship to relationship because
agree.
they're not dealing with their emotional stuff that's underneath. So they're
Okay.
like, oh, I'm just going to F my way out of love or my feelings rather than just feel it and heal it.
Yeah.
So that's what I see with men who have healing work to do. And with women, we actually we take time. So we need more time to heal.
Right.
So I actually think it's really healthy for us women to take our time healing our wounds and our wounds in our heart and clearing out the old so we're not distracted and numbing. And I've loved being single. I've been in a relationship my entire life up until like 4 years ago.
Right.
So for me, it's been like so great, but it's also weird where it's like there's parts of me that are like, oh, I really want to be in a relationship. And I'm like, ooh, where's that coming from? Probably programming, maybe this time of my life, like my age.
Yeah.
Wanting to have kids. But I do feel there is a pressure, or, you know, I was at the Kid Carson event actually, and a guy, one of the other speakers was like, how are you single? And I was like, it was flattering. It was at the VIP thing, and I was standing there, and there was another speaker there that was a man, and I was just kind of like, I was kind of awkward. I was like, yeah, like I just have been. Like I'm not out there. I'm not like with a flag like single. Come, you know, I'm not out there, but in a moment I was like, oh, that's an interesting question. Like why am I single? I thought about that after. I'm like, choice, healing. I'm not advertising myself. That's really weird.
Now you are.
It's a weird thing to do. Like, hey, everyone out there, I'm single. I don't want to spend time with a lot of people. I want to spend time with the right people. Like, I don't, you know, I'm very intentional. But yeah, it was an interesting question. I thought about it after. I was like, well, maybe I could put myself out there a little bit. Maybe I could get to know people a little bit more, but it's actually choice. But the fact that he said that, he's like, how are you single? And then there was a part of me like, is there something wrong with me?
No, it's because it's a perspective.
It was a perspective. It was a compliment. It was nice. It was a compliment.
Yeah.
It was a compliment.
Yeah, no, I just found it easy or interesting to talk about because I've heard old programming and opinions from other people, and I don't resonate with it whatsoever.
Yeah.
And I'm more along the lines of like what you're saying, but I've heard it from like the insecure opinion where it's like
insecurity.
I think 100%.
I find it very attractive when a man is single and he's not going to look for sex. He's not needing it because he's fulfilling himself.
100%. I actually think it's one of the most unattractive things when men jump from one woman to another. I wouldn't date a man who's been recently out of something.
Same
either.
with
I think
me.
it's
I'd like, you need to
I'm
have
like, no.
Because you haven't, I know with myself, it's like 2 years. It was over 2 years for me. Nothing. Not dating, not even a phone number, not even exchanging numbers. It's just, I need to do me. What am I? Who am I without a relationship? What, you know, to just jump in and jump around is just not ideal. But yeah, I absolutely love that. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about Radically Aligned. You've got the mastermind. You're also the founder of the Radically Aligned Life, and your love and leadership, being a coach. So if we can dive into those topics a little bit.
Sure, yeah. So Radically Aligned, I remember I was at a conference in Arizona and I was meditating under a tree. And
so cute.
And a bird pooped on me.
Oh, there's your good luck.
Missed my hair, missed my shirt. So I was like, okay, we're good. This is good luck.
Just
Thank
luck.
you.
Yeah.
And literally seconds after, I was like, Radically Aligned. And I was like, that's the name of like my company and what I want to do. And this is like as I was transitioning into coaching like 5-6 years ago. And so Radically Aligned is, there's a triangle and then there's a circle around the triangle and there's like a flower in the middle as far as the logo. So the top of the triangle is about truth and awakening and healing. So it's about literally releasing everything that's not your true identity so that you're able to operate in truth. And that's really what this book is and what the last decade has been for me as far as like laying the foundation of this work. And then the second pillar is living and leading from the heart. So it's like leadership, but it's also love and relationships, because love and relationships really is everything, and our relationships are a mirror for ourselves, and it's 100%. The biggest challenge that people have. And then the third pillar is purpose and impact. So that's the mastermind. That's the building a conscious business online. It's creating freedom. It's making a bigger impact. It's about changing the world. And so that program, and then what I'm stepping into more now that I've been doing a lot behind the scenes, but not so much out in the world, is the relationship work around helping men heal their hearts so that they can attract and keep the woman that they want.
Their superior woman.
Yeah, so that's it. That's what it is. It's like helping men heal their hearts is one of my programs that's coming out.
Dude.
I fucking love men that do their work.
I know, it's so sexy. It's super sexy.
I love men.
Like, no, you don't, like, especially from having a contrast from somebody that didn't do any work to somebody that's all that they did. They just did their work.
Yeah.
The contrast in that alone, I was like, wow. Like, you just learn, you have so much to learn.
Yeah.
And then when they're fucking figuring their shit out.
I realize I don't even want a man who's doing the work anymore. I want a man who's already done the work. Where it's like, when I like polish something up here and there, like the diamond. I just need to polish the diamond or polish the thing. But I don't want a man who's in the work in the trenches. I'm like, yeah, that's going to be 5 to 10 years of you healing. I've been on that myself. I want someone who's already there.
Superior man. Got it.
But I want to help men heal their hearts because I can see really quickly why a lot of great men are single. It's like 1 or 2 small things. Well, usually it's more than a few, but it's a few small things that need to shift. And when those things shift, they become magnets for women. And there's a couple amazing men out there where I'm like, damn, where'd you come from? Where'd you come from? And they're the embodied men who have done the work. And it's like super attractive. So I want to create a lot of those for all of us women.
The world needs it.
Yeah,
good God.
100%.
The world needs it. And you know what? The men need it. They need to feel. They need to be seen and heard and feel vulnerable and knowing it's okay.
And still be masculine.
Also, I just want to say too, like, I'm like, oh, there's a couple good men out there. There's actually a lot of embodied men who have done the work. But I think that one of the programmings that I've had in the past, and this is actually my response to the guy who's like, why are you single? Or how are you single? And I was like, ooh. I was like, I used to think that I wanted a man who's super spiritual. And we can look at marketing, for example. Marketing isn't necessarily truth. I was attracting men who were telling me they were doing the work, that were, promoting themselves as doing the work, but hadn't actually done the work. So I think a big part with women and just men too is like, things are not always as they seem on the outside. And for me, I was really wanting a super spiritual man and this and that who's doing the work. And now I'm like, I actually don't want that. I want someone who's embodied, who knows who they are, who's already done the work. But there's actually a lot of great men out there. And I've really opened myself up, my heart up. I did a big heart activation and a lot of deep work over the last 6 months. And there's a lot of them. It's just like, which one am I attracted to? And there's mutual connection and future with, right?
Cool.
But there's a lot of great men out there.
There is a lot.
When our heart is open, because we have to have our heart open.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, I mean, my best friend, she's passed now, but she always was looking for love. And she dug really deeply. She was a widow and she had a lot of trauma in her life, unfortunate events. And she was just ready to find love, but she couldn't find it and she was really struggling. And she did her own research and the dating apps just was not for her. Like,
No.
she really was not one to give up her flower that easily, but she was in her early 50s and it was just like, it was heavy on her heart. And she found, especially in BC, the men that were on the apps and that were open and like putting themselves out there was an illusion of, that there's no great men. And not to mention that there was like 10 women to 1 man here in BC. That was like the numbers. And she's like, I need to move.
Oh my God.
She didn't need to move. But she's like, I need to go somewhere where the odds are better.
Oh
Like
my
it was just funny at the time. But I think that was a big part of her passing, is that she gave up. She just was searching for that love, and it was heavy. Yeah, it was
like
really heavy.
needing to find that love within herself.
Yeah, and
First.
she was on. I hadn't done any of this work yet at that time. She had passed, and like the time before, and she was in that path of peeling the onion and understanding. Like, I had to go through all of her stuff, and I got to read her journaling and the note taking and the courses she was taking. Like, she didn't tell me.
Wow.
I didn't know. And so it was just like, oh my gosh. But that wasn't her reason of completely out. There were other factors that were really heavy on her shoulders, and I do feel like that was just like, she's like, I'm done. I'm not fucking doing this anymore.
Well, it's crazy because I feel like we do have to love ourselves so deeply, and a big part of like my healing journey around love has been like, I'm amazing, I'm awesome, I love myself so much that if anyone comes in here to the sphere, they better be like bringing it,
this crystal ball.
Yeah, they better bring it and like have value to give, because like I love I could just hang out with myself all day every day and I'd be like, I'm great, life is good, right? But I have had moments where I've cried, and I'm just like, where are the good men at? And like, is that my guy really out there? Does he really exist? I've had those moments, and it's like intense too, because there is a part of me that's like, I want companionship, I want to have children, like all those things.
Yeah.
But also it's about coming back to ourselves and not giving ourselves away so easily to this idea that I'm whole if I'm with someone.
Yeah, accommodate that ideal thing.
Yeah, or I'm good enough if someone loves me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no lack. You're good. You're good as you are, and all it is a little cherry on top. It's a bonus.
Yeah, exactly.
And I like to make room for the magic. Allow the universe to surprise you. Stop searching. Don't look. All of a sudden, you go to the gym, and then boom, this person appears, and your life changes. You just pivot. Like save room for the magic. Yeah.
Like pivot.
Yeah.
Pivot.
Okay, so you were recently just away. You were away at one of your retreats. So we should share with everybody kind of some of the stuff you do.
Yeah,
that
so
people can jump into.
Amazing. So I run a program that's called Turn Your Light On, and it's like a self-paced program on transforming yourself, waking up to who you are, who you're meant to be, super powerful. I've had messages from people even as of yesterday that were in the program and telling me it's transformed their life, and I'm not even their lives. So it's like so beautiful to get those messages. So healing, turn your light on, book, program, all the things. And then I have a program that helps people who already have businesses, preferably, take their business online and reach 6 figures or multiple 6 figures in their first 12 months.
Amazing.
And it's about taking what they have, packaging it, positioning it, and then scaling it. So through courses, programs, coaching, I work with doctors, writers, authors, speakers, healers, like all the things, and I help them streamline their business so it's simple and they get where they want to go faster.
Fun.
So that they can live and work anywhere. Like for me, like freedom is one of my top values, and freedom to live, be anywhere,
Top five.
Exactly, like live, be anywhere, and also to serve a lot of people, but also have a lot of time. Like my past business, I had a yoga business, and I was working like 6 days a week, burnt out, stressed out, you know, just all the things. Wasn't making the kind of money I wanted, wasn't making the kind of impact, felt like I was playing small. And then I stepped into coaching, and in my first year of coaching, I did really well financially. And I was only working a couple days a week because I was like, I want to have kids someday. I want to be a stay-at-home mom, but I still want to have a business. So I'm going to start this coaching business on 2 days a week, and I want to hit 6 figures in my first year. And I did that. And then since then, it's evolved over the last 5 years, and I teach people how to
do that.
help many people and have that freedom so that they can have the life that they want outside of work.
Yes.
Because like I love work, but I don't want to be working all the time.
No. Oh, fuck no.
No, and you get to travel. You're like this traveling butterfly that just goes all around and has masterminds and retreats, and it's so great.
Yeah, so I love being able to teach people how to create businesses of impact without giving away your freedom and so much of your time. And so that's one of the primary things that I teach. And then I have mastermind retreats. I might be doing one in November in Sayulita, Mexico again. Woo! And it's
round two.
Yeah, round 2. And it will be open to the public. The last one was very closed, small group. And it's for entrepreneurs, visionaries, creatives, healers who want to collaborate, learn some new things, play, have fun, go on boats, maybe like a sweat lodge, all the things.
You speak them up language.
I know, you guys should totally be there. You bring your podcast here.
I wanted to, like, my bags were packed. I was like, I'm going.
Oh, yeah. I know. She told me. I was like, Kristen, you need to go.
Like, I need to go.
Yes, the next one.
Yeah,
I think it's like November 6th. I'll have to like look up the dates. I will be talking about it soon online.
Okay.
And then, so I got the mastermind, the business coaching stuff, healing, and then the love work.
And then also, you will be speaking at the Kid Carson Friends show, which is May 27th
in Vancouver.
Yes, and she was also in Calgary. You've got a few speaking gigs coming up. Where else are you going to be so people will know?
I am going to be my next in-person. So Vancouver, May 27th for the Kid Carson. We got Mark Groves in the house for that, who is amazing. Who doesn't love Mark Groves? Like everything he shares.
I have his cards right there.
I know, he's the best. So he's going to be one of the speakers. There's a lot of great speakers. And then there's the Monetize Your Mind conference that's happening in Kananaskis, Alberta in September, so I'll be there. And then I'm sure there's going to be some other things with Sarah Swain.
Yeah.
And then I am considering launching a summit either in July or September in person. So that's still in the works.
Dope.
And that's for women and awakening and sovereignty, spirituality, and sensuality. And details will be coming soon, very soon. This is my first 2 days back of work, and it's just play today.
It is just play,
in like 2-3 months, because I've been traveling and just playing and not doing anything extra. So like details are coming soon with the retreat, the summit, all the things, and I will share all of it.
Shit, yeah.
And then
already there.
Miss Deidre is going to be coming to do a special guest at one of our circles. That will be coming up too.
That's going to be so fun.
Yes.
Can't wait for that.
Yes, all the things.
Yeah.
So what would you, if you could talk a little bit about your book and kind of like the advice or what you can help people with about understanding, because I know it's a lot on the process of like where each person is at in their life. So kind of like you've got it's a four stages. Maybe you can talk a little bit about that.
Totally.
You got a quiz on that too.
Oh, and there's a quiz. You know all of it. I love it.
I took it.
Good. Okay.
I just forget.
I need to take the quiz.
Okay, take the quiz. Take the quiz. So there's 4 stages of turning your light on, and the first stage is your light's off. We all have a light inside of us, but sometimes our flashlight don't work and we can't see clearly. So if you're in the forest in the middle of the night and you're like, I can't see clearly, I'm alone, what are you gonna do? I'm probably gonna go like my back to a tree and get really tight and curl up and just hope nothing hurts me, and I'm gonna play it safe. So in life, at stage 1 of turning our light on, we feel stuck. We don't really take risks. We're living in fear. We have anxiety. The symptoms can show up as dis-ease in the body. Although my light looked like it was on externally, people thought that I had like television opportunities, like all these things were happening, but internally my light was off.
It's like just dying.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was performing. I was performing, and my light. Those are 2 different things, right? So I had a performing mechanism, but I wasn't. My light was off. So depression, dis-ease, chronic pain, anxiety, health issues, not feeling clear on what your purpose is, disconnected from your body, disconnected from the world. All of those are symptoms of stage 1. So at stage 1 of turning our light on, what we need most here is to understand and learn the language of the soul. I talk a little bit about it in my book, and I talk about it in my program, and it's about actually understanding what your symptoms are telling you, because there's generic meanings for symptoms, but your soul will actually be giving you a very direct message with a part of you that you've disembodied, that you've cut off, that you've betrayed, that you've stepped away from, that you've that you're not listening to. And when you can receive that message and have the courage to be honest, courage to look at the things that are uncomfortable and then take an action, oftentimes the symptom goes away. And again, I'm not a doctor, but I've had a lot of people take this program and tell me their pain's gone away, or they've lost a bunch of weight, or suddenly they're not depressed anymore, or they don't have anxiety. And I can't guarantee any of that, but what I can say is amazing things happen when you listen to your soul and take the action required. So that's stage 1. And then also some trauma work, because when we haven't really got honest with ourselves, like when I had that traumatic experience when I was 19, when I was raped, I was like, did that even happen? How did that happen to me? I didn't tell anyone. I told my best friend, and I kept it to myself, except for that day when I walked on stage at Landmark, and I was kind of shamed for sharing it and not being a better leader or something. And I was like, wow, this is intense, right?
Wow,
it's probably exactly what I needed to be like, for my growth. But so it wasn't I thought that the empowerment was a part of my healing, and empowerment is a stage of healing, but it didn't complete the trauma. So it wasn't until I was introduced to some of the work that I do now of completing traumatic experiences that I was able to see it dissolve in front of me, and also see how, as a result of that one trauma, I had all these micro traumas that I created for myself over a decade, where I would hide my body. I couldn't look men in the eyes for long. It would make me very uncomfortable. I
used to do that too.
Really? Yeah. Interesting, right?
Yeah.
And I just had all this shame in my body, and I manifested a man who shamed me for my body. He didn't like that. He wanted me to look good for him, but if I was out and about, he'd be like wanting me to cover up. And then his family would shame me for my body. If my knees were showing, I wasn't a real woman.
Wow.
Like, I was like picked apart, but I manifested all of those things because I had a trauma where it's like, it's not safe to be a woman. It's not safe to be attractive. So I got really good at making myself not attractive. And it's still something that I can do really quickly when I don't feel good.
Yes.
I'll literally like wear really baggy clothes. And I was at this workshop not too long ago in Denver, and the facilitator was like, take off that big sweater. And I did, and he's like, okay, cool. But he was like, he could tell that I just get really, I have a mechanism of hiding my body. And so I've been working on not doing that for the last so many years, and I feel really free, but sometimes I'll do it still as a mechanism.
I can resonate.
But it's not my default setting, and I'm not walking around with shame anymore.
Yeah. Thank God.
Yeah.
Because the shame part's the the cancer.
I didn't know that it was shame though. I just felt
Yeah.
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like it's like I didn't know it was shame. It was just I felt really uncomfortable in my body. I felt really uncomfortable around men, and of course, like my husband didn't want me talking to men, even his friends. So it was like I was so isolated, you know. So anyways, stage 2. So some trauma work there is super powerful with a coach or a therapist or whatever aligns for you. And then understanding the language of the soul and just starting to understand what's going on. Then stage 2 is the flickering light stage. So it's like having a flashlight in the middle of the night in the forest, and sometimes it works.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm going forward, I know where I'm going, and then sometimes you're like, shit, this thing doesn't work.
Yeah.
So how that manifests in the physical world, and you know, the Turn Your Light On book in this work, it's a lot of it's actually about purpose and not playing small with your life and what you're here to do, because we're light workers. We're here to create, we're here to grow, we're here to expand, and especially if we've had a lot of trauma. That's part of our gifts if we can overcome it. And so the flickering light stage is how that manifests in reality. Is sometimes we show up for a purpose, sometimes we show up powerfully, sometimes we feel really good, and then out of nowhere we're like, I don't feel safe, and we go hide, and we contract, and we sabotage, and our biggest obstacle is ourself, because we're inconsistent. We're getting inconsistent results in our life, and we don't trust ourselves.
Yeah.
So that's about understanding your triggers, your programming, doing that work, and then also building self-trust by understanding the triggers and overcoming the obstacles rather than going into your default setting, which could be running away, hiding, alcohol, drugs, food, over-exercising, hiding yourself in work, whatever the thing is, right?
The distraction.
Yeah. And then the third stage is the bright light stage. Sounds awesome. So it's like just a really big bright light. And it's like, yes, I'm so bright. Everything's amazing.
Just
and
positive Pete.
Yeah, positive. Positive Pete is
Positive
out.
Pete.
And so it's the bright light stage, but there's no direction.
That's right.
So it's like it goes in all directions, but it doesn't go far in any direction because it's just the bright light. So how that looks in like our life is we're constantly doing all of these things to help other people, to help other people's dreams move forward. We get shiny opportunity syndrome. We get shiny object syndrome.
Yeah.
We don't have boundaries. We have a hard time saying no, and we're good at a lot of things, but we don't commit to one thing because on a deeper level, we have a fear of going all in on our dreams.
Yep.
So we say we're too busy, we're too overwhelmed to actually do the one thing full on, which is a high level way of self-sabotaging. So at this stage, it's about learning to quiet the noise, energetically, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and getting the right coach and support to take you to that next stage, which is the laser focused light, which is the legacy building, which is of course, this is all I'm supposed to do. Of course, this is who I'm here to be.
The zero
and
fucks.
that's zero fucks, and like the momentum and the energy and the clarity and the legacy and the people and the opportunities, the business, whatever that is. And so at stage 4, which is where we all want to be at, that laser focused light, we're building a legacy. People know what we're here to do. We're all in. We have more time, more freedom, more abundance, more opportunities, and things. We just get paid to be ourselves and travel the world or whatever that looks like. And we're
Fucking high fives.
And we're like, and we just
Calling
get
it
to
in.
hang out with cool people all the time and do what we love and build things that we love with people that we love. And that is the 4 stages of turning our light on.
Dang.
I think that's when I took
Get this book, babies.
the quiz. I was in the 3rd stage.
When you're like the bright light.
Yeah. And I'm literally just transferring out of that into the laser focus.
Yes.
I'm like, no.
Yeah.
This is Distractions Be Gone by Felicia.
Yes.
Fucking, I know my purpose. I know what we need
Warrior
to do.
woman.
Yes.
Answer the call.
Oh, fuck yeah.
And lean
All
in.
in.
Oh, yeah.
It's about going all in
Yeah.
on the dream, all in on you,
Yeah.
and setting yourself up for success.
Yes.
Because we need a team of helpers. We do. We need people who have done it, who can show us it. We need people who are there to support us. We need people who are around us who have a similar vision, where it's like, oh, girl, you're struggling with that. Oh, let me just send you something that's going to help you. It's like,
That's right.
It's the quick, easy things that are going to support you, but you have to give up the quick, easy distractions first that make your ego feel good about yourself.
That's right.
In order to like go after what you want.
Yeah.
And I think that's more like the topic of where we're going in this, because there is the other side. And I love the conversation of the impact of surround yourself with like-minded people. Because that's a fucking game changer right there is your influence. And yeah, I could really talk a lot about that part, but I don't.
Yeah, it's like envisioning your life and what you'd like your life to be like. So call in that type of a person and be around that type of person and say, if I could exchange, not that we want to exchange our life for anybody else, but just visualize, do I want this person's life? And then ensure that you're surrounding yourself with those types of people. I've had to do that many times where I'm like, would I exchange lives with them? Like, is this the direction that I'd like to go? And I was like, whoa, I need to shift, need to expand and like get out there in a different capacity than what we're safe in. And what, you know, that distraction or that not good enough, or I'd love to do that, but I can't do that. Of course you can do that. And I just want to say, like, thank you for answering the call, and thank you for leaning into this and being such a beautiful light for so many others. It's so beautiful to see. I'm so grateful that you're in our life and that we've chosen to come to Earth School to experience this and have this contract. Like, you know, going back to Landmark and that whole moment of that first introduction, and then how many years later to come back and recycle to then birth new projects.
Yeah, so we met at Landmark in a I don't even know, like, not noteworthy way. We just saw each other and kind of knew who each other were, but we never knew each other.
Yeah.
And it was just so that we could recognize each other so we could be friends now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was so cool how that
And
happened.
I was there.
And Tiffany.
You were there too. You were there too at the same event. Yeah. You probably saw me go up to stage and you're probably like, what's going on here?
Probably. Honestly, it was such a blur because, like,
we were so deep in our own shit.
I went there to...
I went deep.
I did. And I had a lot of takebacks, but that fucking course triggered me beyond belief.
Yeah.
Beyond.
So
but I had to see my own shit.
Yeah.
It was actually meant for me. So it was very impactful, but there was some challenges.
Of course.
It was like a weekend, like 10 years of therapy in a weekend. Like, it was, I was fucking exhausted. So excited. And like, we had to go to bed late and wake up early. And then we got shunned if we were like a minute late. And don't you dare show up with a fucking coffee cup in your hand.
Like, no coffee.
I don't drink coffee, so it's fine.
It could have been fucking tea.
Oh my God.
Yes.
But yeah, such a trip.
Yeah.
And it's like everybody just shows up when in the divine timing, and that's like your soulmate. Right. It's like we have a soulmate for every level of our evolution, and soulmates come in multiple forms, men and women. It's not just one. It's like, there's your next guru, there's your next person to contract. Here they come in to try to take you on your path. Yeah. Are you ready to take the leap of faith? Or are you gonna fucking stay looking backwards and recycling that old bullshit life that you're done with?
Yeah.
Take the leap of fucking faith.
Yeah.
What's in the unknown?
It seems so much easier said than done, but it's again going through the trauma and weeding out the things that are like holding you back, and what's up? That's it.
So I hate this. I hate it when people say, no, on podcasts. So part of what I want to unravel right now is it's like, you know, we're kind of like touching around the fact about the Landmark. No, let's fucking call a spade a spade. People are like, well, what happened at Landmark and why did you guys kind of...
Okay,
so
I'll say my
just
experience.
Say it!
I'll say my experience of Landmark. So it's at Landmark, and again, I had a lot of shame around being a woman and getting attention from men. If men made eye contact with me, who were my husband, no bueno, you know?
No bueno.
So I'm at Landmark, and I'm sitting there, and there's this tall guy that keeps sitting beside me and kind of trying to flirt with me. And I'm he's like, well, I
obviously was.
No, but I'm awkward. I'm an awkward person, especially especially because when I was with my husband for 8 years, I was all in with him. I wasn't out there flirting with guys.
Yeah,
so for me, I'm at this event, I'm going through my shit, and this guy sits beside me, and he starts like commenting and maybe flirting a little bit, but I'm awkward. I'm not really paying attention. I'm like, acknowledging him, but just like, okay, like I felt awkward in general. I'm like, oh, I'm married and this guy's like following me around. And then I see his hot girlfriend right here. And she's on stage sharing something vulnerable. And I'm like, oh gosh, I'm beside her douchebag boyfriend right now. And he's trying to flirt with me and I just feel awkward. And I'd like go to a different spot later to sit and he'd follow me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, she probably hates me, but I don't even know this guy. I don't know why he's following me. And I just felt so awkward about it, and we never actually connected. I think I saw you once and you gave me like a look up and down. I was like, hey, nice to meet you. Like, oh no, I didn't know why he was around me. Yeah. And then flash forward to maybe like 4 months ago or 3 months ago, we were following each other on social media and we have some mutual connections. I'm like, hey, I feel like we should like get together for a workout or a hike or something and connect. And now we're friends and it's history. But I felt like really uncomfortable because I was in something I didn't sign up for and I was trying to avoid this guy.
You know what's awesome about this? You did sign up for it. You know why you signed up for it?
Because we were supposed to meet.
Because, no, let's go even deeper. Do you know what happened? She is the reason why I had to leave the room.
Oh, you never told me this.
The room. I didn't remember.
You never told me
I didn't remember this, you guys. Here's the thing, and even when Deidre reached out, I didn't even remember, you guys. No, even when you had reached out and you're like, oh, we met at Landmark, whatever, I didn't remember. And then it was like, boom.
Whoa.
All of a sudden, it was like flooded with download of everything that happened. And
Whoa.
I said, so when he was sitting beside her, I had all these insecurities and I could feel what he would be up to, whether I was with him in the moment or not. It didn't matter. So I'm sitting there. I'm so fucking uncomfortable, you guys, because I know who he is and what he's about and you know,
his intentions
and attraction and whatever. So she's good looking. She's sitting beside him. He's sitting beside her, you know, having a chit chat and smiley conversation. And I'm sitting and I'm so distracted, more focused on what he's doing than fucking getting healed and being able to be present, that I had to leave. My body, I was going to throw up.
Wow.
I was going to puke. So I left and I went into the back and I finally, thank God that happened, because I spoke to the leader. He actually helped me and I told him what happened because he had cheated on me. And I kept staying and staying and staying. And I didn't even know to the extent of what I was being cheated on. I thought it was just like a one-off little thing because some people are really good at covering, but my intuition always knew and I would be so sick. So as I'm sitting there in the back room and he's fully just ripping the carpet out from under me, being like, why have you chosen this? Like, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh my God, I have a fucking choice? Oh my God, I chose this?
Choice.
Anyway, so it was so good. And here I was so young, so fucking young. It was perfect. So thank you. And thank you for that contract.
Yeah.
Because it was like carpet rip moment. And if you wouldn't have been there in that moment, I wouldn't have had those uncomfortable feelings to then go deeper and then start that process.
Beautiful.
So thank you.
You're welcome. I just felt uncomfortable because I was like, I don't know why this guy's following me around, and I felt awkward about it because I was like, I don't know, like I'm not really talking to him. He's following me around. His like girlfriend's here. I just felt awkward about it. And I remember the last day you like glared at me when I like introduced myself because he introduced me to you or something weird happened. I was like, oh, hey, I'm Deidra. And I was like awkward because I was like, I don't know what's going on here, but I'm in a weird situation. And I just remember you glaring at me and I was like, okay, good to meet you. And I think you were like doing modeling. And I was like, of course you're a model. And I like remember walking down and I was like, she fucking hates me. But like I didn't even know you. I didn't know you. I was in a situation. I know it wasn't me, but so when I saw you online, I don't know, like 4 months ago or something, I was like, oh my gosh, it's the girl. She probably doesn't like me. But you know what? We should totally go for a hike and chat. And I watched like one of these episodes and I was like, oh, she seems cool. We should totally be friends, because I'm not about like the sister wound thing. I will never go for a guy that a friend of mine's interested in or has something like, even like, so I'll give you an example.
Let's have an example.
I went on a date.
I'm all about truth examples.
I went on a date. I went on a couple dates with a guy a couple months ago, and he seemed great. And I was like, okay, but like I'm taking things super, super slow, like with everything, because I'm like, it takes a while to get to know someone, right? What was your famous line earlier?
Tiffany.
It's hard to see consistency in behavior in a short period of time.
So good.
Yeah.
And so
it takes time to get to know somebody.
It's so true. And so we went on a couple dates, and I told him when I first met him, and I've been doing this with all men in my life, and then I recently stopped doing it. I've sent the message, hey, if you're just pursuing me because you want to like be with me as like romantic, stop.
Good for you.
And like get out. I said, because right now I just want friendship with men.
Oh.
And so I've been single for what, like 3.5 years. I've had a couple short-term relationships in there, but the last 6 months or so, I'm like, you know what? If you don't actually just want to be friends with me and genuinely like me for me, get out. And I did that a lot, and I did it with this guy.
Holy shit.
And he was like, okay, I want to be friends with you. So we like hung out a few times. And then he's like, okay, I know that you just want to be friends, but I'm really attracted to you. Da, 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 da. I'm like, you seem like a good guy, but don't have any expectations from me. I don't want that at this point in my life. Like, I know what I want. I'm calling it a specific thing. And the guy will probably go through some ringers. The next guy, or the right guy for me, will show up and it will be aligned. Anyways, so we were hanging out, maybe a few dates in, and I'm like, oh, like I'm starting to kind of like warm up to this guy, right? I'm like, oh, he's cute, he's consistent, like, you know, he's connected in a lot of ways with my community. And then I end up going for lunch or dinner with a new girlfriend of mine, like basically like brand new girlfriend of mine. And we're at dinner and we're having fun, and I kind of could feel her energy in his field because I'm super psychic and tapped in, like you guys are too. You can just feel things. And she's like, oh, I just went through a breakup. I'm like, who did you break up with? And she said the person's name, and I was like, oh, when did you guys break up? And she's like, oh, like a month ago. Oh, well, so I was just like, well, just want to let you know, like I've gone on a couple dates, or if I've spent a few hours with this person. Nothing's happened, you know, but I was like, but I'm so happy that you shared that with me because you're awesome and I want to collaborate and do business stuff with you and be friends. Yeah. So I'll just let him know I'm not interested. And she's like, you don't have to do that. I'm like, no, really I do, because it's actually unattractive to me to have overlap with someone I want to be friends with. And I'm just not interested in drama in my life at all.
Such good integrity.
So I just messaged him. He was upset about it, and they hashed some stuff out. But I was like, she's awesome, and we're really good friends now. Because like a guy's, unless it's like, if I've already built a relationship with someone and I'm like in love with the guy, and then I find out something later, well then it's kind of too late, you know, but it's like early stages. There wasn't any overlap, but I don't want to be with a guy who's recently out of a relationship jumping into another one. Like, it's like, no. Yeah, I'm not going to be the person that you avoid your feelings with.
No.
And I was going to say, like, I know we kind of talked about that, like what that means for someone jumping in and out of relationships, but let's reiterate that for those who need to hear it.
Oh, so men or people who are jumping in and out of relationships, oftentimes we're using the next person as a Band-Aid for our unhealed wounds with our past. And men do it a lot. Like I wrote a song that's called, I haven't put any of my music out yet. It's called You Can't Fuck Your Way Out of Love.
Love it.
And and the first line goes, you can't fuck your way out of love. That's not how this works. I won't sing it. I'm not warmed up, but it's basically about a man who's trying to fuck his way out of love, but you can't do that when it's love, or it wasn't love at all. And, you know, it's going to catch up to you at some point. So men and women, take your time, heal your wounds, heal your heart before you go just trying to jump into bed or a relationship with someone to, like, you know, cover your wounds or put a Band-Aid on your wounds.
And even energetically, man, you're plugging into different portals and different things. No, thank you.
A good friend of mine, she's like, I won't sleep with a man for 6 months when I'm dating him. And I remember, because I've always been like,
that would be hard for me.
I've been like, I've always been like full on in relationships. So I've never really like done the casual dating thing, right? So I've always been like full on into relationships. So for me, I was like, that feels like a really long time if you're like with someone. But then the more I think about it, I'm like, that's actually really smart at the beginning to get to know someone. No pun intended. Not that I'm gonna be like, oh, it's exactly 6 months, rip off my clothing and act like it just happened organically. You know, like
you need to also get the tingle.
Of course.
You need to have the tingle.
Well, that's why it wouldn't last very long, because my tingle would be like
always
happening.
Her tingle's like, hey.
Tingle dingle, let's
but
go.
To be honest though, like the flower needs to be open and ready. Like that's what I always say. Like I'm the type, I'm an emotionally connected. I will not just see some dude and be like, oh my God, I want to just go and bang. That is not my MO. I'm emotional, flower, open, feel comfortable.
What's your love language again? I don't want to know. Want you to say it.
I don't know. I think it's affirmations, like I love you, like that sort of thing.
Right.
And it's because it's funny because Cassius, he's an affirmation type of little guy, and he'll be like saying such beautiful things about me just out of nowhere, and that's when it always touches my heart the most. So I think it's words of affirmation.
Okay.
So somebody being like, yeah, I love you, or I think you're special.
Yeah. And what's yours? Do you know?
Mine's affirmation.
Is it?
Too, which is tough because when a guy comes in strong with a lot of affirmation, and it's like, so the last guy that I dated, which was over a year ago, we were together for a very short, like 3 months. He was like a love bomber, but like he came across so genuine, and like he was so thoughtful, and anyways, I won't get too much into it, but and also like anything that's thoughtful. Like he got me a very thoughtful gift. He bought me a guitar, and I always wanted to learn the guitar. So he did a lot of things at the beginning, but affirmation. And for me, I never got a lot of affirmation growing up, and especially in my last long-term relationship. So for me, it's like feels so good. Where actually I have to be like, you know, affirmation doesn't mean there's love. It just means like good job. So it's like, thank you.
It's an easy undercover bullshit Band-Aid.
Yeah, so men who say all the right things to me, I have to beware of them. I have to keep them at a distance. I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna keep you away for a while, because it's like, you know, it's easy to talk.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely words of affirmation that are genuine. But when they're not genuine, it's like the opposite.
Gross.
Of like
It's gross.
Yeah.
But it's funny that you also had that similar upbringing where I wasn't told like, oh, you're pretty, or like good job, or you're this or that. It wasn't a thing, and I attracted that in a partner. Right. They didn't tell me they even loved me very much, and they felt it, and they said it inside of themselves, but they didn't say it to me. And a lot of these people, they had this preconceived thing that, oh, well, she's pretty and she hears it all the time. But it's not fucking true, for one. And for two, who do you want to hear from the most? I don't care about everybody else. I want to hear from my loved one.
Yeah, of course.
Right? And it was but I didn't believe it about myself. So that was like what you had talked about. I had a partner to mirror all those wounds. He wasn't able to say those things to me. Well, I didn't believe it. And then it was like, as I loved myself and had Dar enter, he said all the things, and it was because I was like, wow, I started to actually believe them about myself.
Because they were true.
Exactly. But it was true. But it was such a reverse. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I remember getting out of my marriage, and I remember a friend of mine being like, Dee, like she was wanting to introduce me to all of her guy friends. She's like, oh my gosh, you have to meet all my guy friends. So I was like, oh, I don't know, like who would want to date me? And I didn't even think I was pretty. I thought I had nothing going for me. Yeah. I thought I was stupid. I thought I was ugly. I thought I would never amount to anything. This is just 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Before
Shit.
So much like body shame. Like I didn't want to show my body, but like it's just like it was crazy, and that's like the harm that can happen from being in a relationship with someone who's insecure and putting you down, because that's what it is. If someone's putting you down, they're insecure.
They're affirming.
They want to keep you small so that they own you, but you're not an object to own. Yeah, you know what I mean?
But they also feel that way about themselves too, and also we felt that way about ourselves. So it was a perfect contract. That's who we called in.
It's, of course, we attract what we believe or what we are.
That's the vibration. And
usually, a lot of times, what we believe. What's your love language? I feel like it's physical touch because you're talking about jumping.
Mine is like more like the act of kindness, like the action. So like even if like so gifts would be one, but even if you made it out of fucking popcorn, I would be like,
oh yeah.
Or like I remember when I was younger, my mom, like we didn't have like that loving relationship, but I would receive love from her when she'd like clean my room or like make my bed or like
acts of service.
Yeah, acts of service. So that seems to be more mine, and it's because it takes it takes effort into the act and like the intention behind it is where I see the value, I guess. Where it's just close to my heart, I guess. Right?
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. So it's like, I don't know.
It's like thoughtfulness and intention. I think intention is one of the most powerful things. When someone's intentionally doing something to make you feel good, like it feels good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I've had the opposite with people in my life who, and I'm guilty for this too, where I would overcompensate that part because of my own oh my gosh, my own codependent issues. Right? So it's like now you're showing up inauthentic just to be liked.
Yes.
So that's why I really like the saying, like, consistency, you know, takes time to see someone's consistency and the truth instead of just doing something just to win you over.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, so I used to really like, when I used to teach yoga, I used to love the fast and like the fun classes.
Okay.
And then now, like when I go to yoga, it's like Kundalini. It's the stuff that's hard at the beginning, but it's like long-term reward. I feel great after. So it's not the short term. It's not the short term. Like anyone can say or do something in the short term to make me feel special or whatever. But long term, I'm in it for the long term. Like I want my life to be amazing. And I think that we need to, you know, what are we building? What are we creating? What are we attracting in? And as far as relationship goes, for me, it's like, and I've changed my ways a lot. Like I'm like, oh no, like guys, you know, if you're not interested in just being my friend, you're out. And it was like such a great decision. And then I stopped doing that. I was like, okay.
So what are you doing now?
I'm not doing anything. I'm just open to meeting my person. I'm not doing anything. I think energetically, I'm like, if I think a guy's cute or I'm interested, I'll definitely like let him know. Kind of thing. Like that's kind of my edge, is like being like, hey, you're cute.
You know what's super hot?
What?
It's like
Tell me.
Yeah. No, it's like when the guy just comes up and they're like, I just couldn't leave without saying hi to you. I want to introduce myself to you. Fucking do that, guys. Like, oh, you know how hot that is?
Yeah, it's not so hot when it's a narcissist.
No, but you know what's, here's the thing.
Well, yes.
Even after all my dance shit that I post.
For all your narcissists out
I don't have people in my DMs. I don't call it in. They don't see me. Narcissists, all that sort of stuff doesn't exist in my frequency. It just doesn't. People are like, you don't have like DMs and whatever. I'm like, nope, nothing.
Well, you're also an embodied woman who knows what she wants, and you're strong, and you've transmuted, you've shifted a lot of like shame and old patterns and stuff. And so I don't get a lot of men pursuing me. Yeah. Like it's never even been a thing for me. It's like, you know, like it's not a big thing. Like I don't get that either. Like every once in a while I'll get like a weird DM and I'm like, okay, bro, like, hey, can I pay you this amount of dollars to go on a date with me?
No, can I be your sugar daddy?
Yeah, I've had that too. But like I don't get DMs either, but I also don't put out like the super single vibes. Like I've been told by men who I have dated in the past, like, oh, I didn't even know you're single, like, or you're just so in your own world that like unless I'm like right there at the right time, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. That's right.
You know, so I think like for you too, like you're a mom, like you're confident, you're doing what you love, you're embodied. Like guys aren't just going to throw themselves at that. They're like, she's serious business, right?
$0.
Yeah. So I think it's like, you know, we need a man, like a man who knows how to handle things. Right?
There's no, there's no
I can get
choice.
Very dirty.
There's just no choice. That's what we got going on, right?
Yeah, for sure.
That's hilarious.
I love this. Such a good conversation. We could talk for days.
So good.
For days.
So good. I love this. This actually prompted me to think like back in the day when I'd go to the club. And I always thought something was wrong with me because men would never approach me even though I was not single. I'd always go to the club without my man at the time. Well, my husband now. But like I was always
energetically he was like, she's not available.
Yeah. And I was always with my single girlfriends and I would be approached by men who wants to talk to my girlfriends and not me.
But
and I was
do you
like,
know
what's wrong with me?
And that's the thing is you're so unapproachable. You're just this big energy.
Yeah, that's what
People are like
I came to
fucking
terms
scared.
with. Yeah, it was more of like an intimidating factor because I don't mind walking in a room and like scouring.
Just
see what the fuck's going on.
Yeah, she just stares at people like it's so cool. Because she doesn't care. So I'm like sitting there, even like Kid Carson shows vibes and just like, nice and whatever. And Tiffany will just walk on with the beeps and just be like, what's up?
What's up?
Like, oh,
No,
it's great. It's
Thanksgiving.
great.
No,
I love
Thanksgiving.
it.
It's
yeah.
great.
That's the way.
But that was like the sad little girl in me at the time. That was like, am I attractive? Am I even pretty? Am I even worthy? Am I all these things? But that was, I don't know. There was obviously something about my presence that was just very like.
You're an old soul.
Yeah.
The young ones are like,
They're
like,
run.
holy fuck.
Yeah, they run.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're so empowering.
That's a
and
good
embodied.
thing, though.
Yeah.
If you
Don't
repel the boys, you're doing a good job.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what
Well,
I mean?
I've seen the reactions over the years after I leave the room, and that was like, oh, okay, I get it. I remember I was sitting on a stool, and this like big burly man was like sitting beside a girl I knew, and I got up and I left, and I turned around, and I don't know why I looked, but he hopped over to the stool that I was sitting on, and he smelled it. He was like, yeah. He
That's
just like
so
disgusted.
gross.
I'm like, who is this man?
But
So this guy was so
hot too.
he was so enthralled with me. He was like, yeah,
I'd be like, bro, you gotta get out of here.
bro.
He
That's
just wanted to like
because he
take
knew
on
that
your
he could
vagina
not
sauce.
have this.
He wanted your vagina sauce in his face.
It was so fucked, and I remember girlfriend going, "What the fuck?"
That's
hitting him like
that's
Jesus.
insane. That's so intense.
I'm not surprised.
Mm-hmm.
That's
We've got the
intense.
Scorpio moons, and we're a little bit wild. We're
Great
definitely-
stories, hey.
That's so intense.
Smelling stools. Like I
Wow.
would never smell someone's crotch on a stool unless you're straight out of the shower.
That's so
No.
intense.
You know what? If my person, like, here's the
Nothing?
thing. My guy, it's like when they love every part of you, whether you're fresh out of the shower or not, out of the gym, and they think it's all amazing, and they're turned on by any piece of you, that's fucking amazing. That's
Yeah.
hot.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously not like Bushwhacker Bill, who's just smelling the fucking stool, but if my man wanted to
He had
smell
some
my
serious-
stool, you can fucking smell my
Serious
stool.
fetish,
Right?
whatever that guy was dealing with. I don't know.
Okay, so is there anything that you feel that you would like to share with our amazing audience? This is why we're our raw. Raw.
Like this is going well, ladies. Whoa. So let's pull a card.
This is just the way we roll. We're
it's
weird
so
and
it's
wild.
so good. No,
Sacred rebels.
it's so funny. It's so good. Okay, so a message. How do I have a message after that?
Let's do.
Well, I guess my message for anyone listening is that if you are feeling like you're not where you want to be, but you know where you want to be, but there's a gap, do something about it. Hire a coach, do the work, get my book, do the course, do something about it.
Wow.
That, because, for me, I think about all of the moments in time when, like, even getting my TEDx or my book, and, like, I've had a New York Times bestselling author endorse my book and write the foreword. My favorite author in the world did that.
Who?
And his name's James Twyman.
Oh my god.
Thank you, James Twyman.
And I read one of his books a couple years ago, and I was like, wow, like, this guy's amazing. I'm on a similar journey, but different. And I read his book, and I was like, it sparked this seed into my consciousness that I want to write a book one day. And then I ended up manifesting meeting him in Mexico 2 years ago when I was writing this book, and he wrote the foreword of my book, and I have this incredible endorsement by him. And he's written, like, I don't know, like, probably 20 books.
Oh wow.
And his book that he wrote that I read that changed my life, that was like, oh my gosh, this guy, I need to meet this guy someday, is he wrote it like 20 years ago. And so this book, even though I had a lot of resistance to writing it, I was a slow learner growing up. I had a lot of anxiety, and English was my hardest class, even
Same
though it's
with
my
me.
first language. I wrote the book. I did the thing. So anytime that I want something or I have a challenge that I want to overcome, I do the thing. Same with the TEDx. Like I spoke on stage and talked about, you know, my actual incident of being raped and what it took away from me, and how I do believe that unhealed trauma is the root cause of all suffering, and how the weeds in our life, addiction, all those things come from trauma. So it's like, it's not because it was the easy path, but it was because it was the path that I knew I had to take. And that's the courageous path, and courage is always rewarded. So it's like, you know, you were saying, oh, thank you for your work. It's like, well, I'm just grateful that I've been able to do this work because I'm able to support people, but also we have these assignments that we come in to create and birth and give to the world, and it's our responsibility to do the work to overcome the obstacles so that we can bring the gifts and the information to people. So when I think of this work, it's like I've just started. Like, I don't feel like I've done some things, you know, sure, but I have so much more that I still want to contribute and give.
Yeah, always. And something that I like to do, and I highly encourage anybody to do this, is I open up a book to a page and there's always a message, and I want to read this because it is so fucking beautiful and accurate. It says, you cannot be fully in the light unless you have had the courage and willingness to sit in the dark.
As if you just said
Once
that.
you have walked that path and learned the language of the soul, you are able to help others see in the dark and bring what is in their darkness and turn it into light. The moment when we stop listening to our internal wisdom is the moment we step away from ourselves, betraying ourselves, and oftentimes when our soul schooling journey begins. And it's so fucking true, because I've had the biggest and most challenging time with the darkness that I chose to experience. And I absolutely know that that is the gift that I'm meant to do here to help others. And it's only when we are willing to face the motherfucking lion in the face and actually look at it, feel it, sense it, and welcome it, is when we can accept who we are, who we came here to be.
Yeah, and this is about acceptance, because the shit that we've gone through in the dark, when we bring it to the light, it's actually accepting all parts of ourselves.
You got it.
And then helping other people accept those parts of themselves too, by whatever it is that you're here to do.
We're the masters of our biggest shadows.
Yeah, it's like that. Yeah, it's like the shadow version. This is good to share with everyone. The shadow version is the complete opposite to who you are. So it's everything you dislike. And it's like when that shadow comes up, ready to be acknowledged, everybody goes, fuck that. I'm not that. Don't want to see it. And they just keep denying it. But it's like when you bring it up and you love it and you bring it back home to your heart, bring it out of that cave and love it, you're able to be whole and complete, because every version of you needs to come with you. You can't leave pieces behind.
Yeah, and our shadow too is just parts of ourselves that we're not aware of.
Totally.
Like, it's not even necessarily like it is parts of ourselves that we don't like or that we don't want to see. Sometimes it's just like, I didn't even know it was there. I didn't even know it was there. I didn't even know that like a recent thing came up from my past very recently with men who are super desired by a lot of women are not safe. And so when I'm approached or when certain men show up in my life and are interested in me in some way, sometimes I'll just be like, oh, I'm too busy or whatever, like hide behind my work. And, you know, I talk about that in my next book on love. But I will be like, oh, I wouldn't even know that I didn't feel safe because of that. And there was a moment in Bali years ago where I actually ran away from a guy that was really into me. Like, I literally ran away from him. Wow. Let me tell you about it, because this is the shadow, but it's not necessarily like, I'm scared of this shadow, which is really common. Is I was in Bali. I was at a sound healing event. I was finishing up a retreat with a couple other facilitators, and this guy who I had a crush on showed interest in me. And he's like, if you guys were to know him, you'd be like, yeah, that's a great guy. Like, yeah, like he's an awesome guy. Girls just throw themselves at him. And I was like, oh, he's cute. I'm interested in him, but I wasn't pursuing him because I'm not really a pursuer in that way. And at the sound healing, when everyone left, he was showing interest in me and pursuing me. He's like, let's go for dinner. Let's do this. Let's do that. And I remember sitting there giggling with him, like uncontrollably giggling, like
Oh
little
my God,
girl, like
I
big
love
time
that.
crushing, did not feel safe in the giggle because I was like really starting to crush on him. And then I was like, I have to go. And he's like, where do you have to go? I was like, I have work to do. He's like, what do you mean you have work to do? Like, we just ran a retreat. Like, we're in Bali. I thought you took more time off. I'm like, I have something I have to take care of. And I like grab my backpack. I zip it up. I put it on my back. I'm not even joking. This is 4 years ago. 3.5
Where
years
is he
ago.
now?
No, I'll tell you the whole completion
Shit.
story.
Okay.
He's not for me. The time has passed. Where is he now?
Yeah, I'm like,
So listen to this. So I basically go from like him massaging me and giggling like a little girl and like blushing and being like, oh my gosh, this guy is amazing, right? Like literally everything I was looking for at the time or wanting to call in. And I get my backpack, I zip it up, I go to my scooter, and I start scootering out of town. Like I'm going as fast as I can on the scooter, like full-fledged hair is flowing.
Oh my God, sorry.
And then I realized, I'm like, I'm on my way out of this city. And I was like, holy shit. And I pull over, I'm like, what am I running from?
Whoa.
So I'm on the side of the road, off the scooter, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, what am I running away from? And I'm like, I'm running away from what I've been wanting. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, this is crazy. So I'm like, okay, so I'm afraid of what I want because it just showed up. This guy is exactly what I was looking for. Mm-hmm. And he's like totally into me, wants to do all these fun things with me. And I literally was like, I gotta go, peace. And I got out of that place so fast. It was almost like I was running away from a bear. Like I was like, or like not trying to be seen by a bear.
You just robbed a bank.
Walking really quickly until I got on my way, like, don't let the bear know that you're running, play a cool play. Right? And then I remember we saw each other another night. That night we saw each other at like a group dinner and we chatted a little bit. He brought me home on his bike and I was like, oh, I really like this guy. But basically, long story short, we kissed and nothing else happened. And he kind of lightly ghosted me. Oh. And I was like really upset about it. But really, it's because he wanted to have a relationship with me, which is kind of what happened that night at my place. And I was like, I'm not ready, you know, and then we lightly ghosted each other. And then I talked to him like a year later and he's like, I liked you so much that it scared me. I was afraid that I was gonna ruin our friendship or that I would ruin the chance of being with you in the future.
You both freaking were like, loved. And
oh my God, like attracts
flame.
like.
It was
like twin
so
flame,
intense.
Like freaking.
Wow. It was so
intense.
intense. And so then he's like, you know, I didn't have the tools back then. I really liked you. And then he bailed on like a group trip, like a month later. So I was like, okay, he's like avoiding me. And he's like, I just liked you so much. And I was just so afraid. And he's like, because I didn't have the tools. He's like, but I have the tools now. And when I was in San Diego, like a year ago, because that's where he lives, he wanted to get together. But I was like, no, like to me, I was like, the energy's passed for me. Yeah. And I didn't re-explore it. But it's not about him. It was about me running away from what I wanted in that default setting. But recently it came up for me again with someone that I'm curious about. And I was like, oh, it's not safe. Don't talk to that person. And I was like, and I had to I was like walking and I was processing and I'm like, Dee, it's safe to be in your heart. It's safe to be open. It's safe to act like you're interested. It's safe. It's safe because you're safe. And then I transformed it. But it was like that old wound from childhood that came up 4 years ago in a really strong way that I did a lot of work around and unpacked, and it was really healing with him. But I'm like, oh my gosh, it just came up again recently. And I was like, okay, this is uncomfortable, but it's safe. And it's just an old wound. Yeah. It doesn't have to have control over me.
No.
I love that. And I love that you went through that and you're feeling those feelings. Yeah. That's the only way. We got to feel our way through.
So the shadow, I didn't even know that I was afraid of that until I was running away from a guy I liked on a scooter. Yeah. Well, that's why as fast as I could, like women are running towards him and I'm like, bye.
That's why we say it's important to stay curious. Like stay curious in our journey. Because I mean, the fact of the matter is, if you're not staying curious and you're constantly running, that's just a cycle that's going to be constant in your life.
Totally. I didn't know. I just didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I know now. And
Now you know.
that's part of the shadow.
Know thyself. That's what I always say.
Know thyself. Yeah.
Know thyself. Are we going to be pulling a card, guys? Are we doing this Big Daddy one? Or are we going to do like a lighter message, a starseed, or the angels and gods right by you, Tiffany, to the left?
Are you suggesting something later, or you just say it?
Why don't you pull one from Sacred Rebels? Because I think you bitches want to have that one, and I want to have the starseed, the blue one. Nope, back it up, yes.
Back it up, back it in, let it begin.
There's always a collective message for everybody that is watching.
Let's go, Deej. Are we pulling from this one, or are we staying light?
No, go ahead. Let's do both. Big Daddy D.
Big Daddy D.
We've got Big Mama D in the house.
Deidre,
so.
you do this one. I'll do this one. This is a light. These ones are actually really cool.
They are very cool. And then you know what, guys? We're going to be cutting it off because we're going to go for lunch.
Yeah.
And you guys can't come, but next time you can.
Inspiration.
Ooh, look at you, always getting 2.
Inspiration. Spirals of manifestation. We'll do inspiration.
Whoops.
And you know what comes to my mind? Oh, and there's 3, and that's Motfa. So also want to put it out there, sending so much love to my family and to Motfa. This has been 1 year since he's passed to the date. And number 3, just when I woke up, I go to the bathroom, on the floor was a 3 in a string. I took a picture of it and sent it to my group chat, which was cool. And this card is number 3. So Motfa's energy is here in the present now. Big time.
Such a beautiful picture. These photos are amazing.
Dope. They are amazing.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right, do I read it? Mm-hmm. All right, so inspiration. Do you guys want to show that to the camera? Bring it close up.
See the face.
An idea has captured your attention. Ooh, you have an idea right now. What is it? Write it down. Okay, has captured your attention or will do so very soon. It may be a grand vision or the vague sense of something that could be. You are being encouraged to accept the vision, the idea, or the inspiration as it is important to your creative and spiritual growth. Also, it is possible. The bee is bringing you healing medicine wisdom from nature to aid the message of the Oracle of Inspiration. The bee is a powerful spirit totem. Bees are able to fly with wings that are significantly small in proportion to their heavier bodies. That's true. They can do so because of the sheer speed with which their wings move. Your idea, even if it seems like a big, substantial plan that might be difficult to get off the ground and up and running, can succeed. You will attract great helpers to you, and the earth will support the success of this project, idea, or vision because it is about helping the greater good as well as your own growth and development. When the Earth Mother lends you nature wisdom to support your healing and growth, you know you have an exceptionally powerful ally to your cause. Let this bring you confidence. If you have also drawn the oh, that's different. Okay. Mm-hmm. Also, inspiration to fill you with enthusiasm and expectation of magic and marvelous synchronicity as people, situations, opportunities fall into place to bring you your inspiration into reality. This idea has the potential to flower into so much more than you realize. It has great potential. It can become something that feeds and nourishes others on creative and personal healing paths too. It has the quality of a mission, and it is so much more than a singular idea. So I'll cut it a little short. Beautiful. It was 2 more pages, but you get the idea.
And then we won't read the second one, but we can share. It's spirals of manifestation.
I think that speaks for itself.
It does.
Yeah. Right there.
And it's true to trust in the fact that if you're caught in the spirals of thought, you need to get out of that. And
No, it's good.
It's all good.
Anyways, I was like, so yeah, the spirals of manifestation, meaning if you're stuck in spirals of negative thought, it's really hard to manifest the life that you desire and that is your dream. So just be mindful of the habitual thinking pattern. The card that I pulled is Forge, Don't Follow, Pave a New Path, Be the Leader You Wish You Had. It's time for everybody to step up and lead.
Boom.
And you know what? We're also answering the call to lead a new path that doesn't look like what everybody else has done. And that's the best part.
Love it.
Okay?
One
GT.
more. Don't make assumptions. Assume nothing. In any kind of relationship, we can make the assumption that others know what we think, and we don't have to say what we want. We assume they're going to do what we want because they know us so well. If they don't do what we want, we feel hurt and think, how could you do that? You should know. This is really stepping into your throat chakra, where you're speaking clearly in your communication and how you're feeling. But then also, on the other hand, if you're on the receiving end, don't get in your head about shit. If you're not being forward enough to ask what the fuck's going on, don't assume. Just stay in your lane and just focus on what you're doing.
Totally.
Period.
Amazing. Thank you so much for traveling out to Raw Babes headquarters and recording with us. We can't wait to have you back on the show again.
Yes.
And we have much collaboration to do. So we're gotta get busy, get to work.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
Thank you for having me.
And if you guys want to follow Deidra, she's at I am Deidre I always say it.
Sirianni.
Sirianni. There we go.
We'll
I'm
put it in the
working on
show
last
notes.
names. Yeah, we'll put everything in the show notes. Okay, guys, have a beautiful day.